and welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, where we're talking today about terrorists in the United States and what we can do if we can do anything about them. So, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
what you had something you wanted to say?
Huh. Okay. What did I want to say?
Well, let me just go ahead and start it off. There are some parallels between the two men, military, army, then marital issues. So one of the things I have noticed, and I'm a military brat and former military spouse, and I have worked with a lot of military people. When you're driving around and you've seen all these homeless people, a lot of those homeless people are vets.
They are.
And you've got to wonder, well, I'm going to share a story. I had a student in the middle of his doctoral course with me. He became homeless. And he did go to the VA for assistance. He did go to the military institutions, and had to go to a lot of changes, fill out a lot of paperwork to get assistance, and it may not have been right away. So I'm not trying to blame this on the military system, but at the same time, you got to wonder, what is the system doing to support those soldiers, especially those who have been to Afghanistan, to Vietnam? I'm saying Vietnam for a reason, who have been to the high impact areas. What are they doing to help them deal with the PTSD issues that they're having? And how is that going to, if not resolved, if they're not getting the services that they need, how is that going to impact society as a large? At large. Now, we're seeing that with Liversberger, he had a manifesto. He wrote him a letter saying this was not a terrorist attack. This was a wake-up call from America. We've got feckless leadership who are only in it to enrich themselves. But the man moved his vehicle in front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas and blew himself up in the vehicle. Then you had Jabbar. I don't know what set him off to do that, but there was a mental health issue on steroids, to where he just lost it and did what he did. So this question about these terrorists, you've got terrorists who are extremely dangerous in this country, but we may have terrorists on the make also.
What do you mean when you say on the make?
Well, if they're not getting the service, I'm just saying, again, I know we got some military people who are going to say, now, Chadwell, you don't put it all on the military folks. But it does look like that a lot of these people who are acting out like this are former military.
Well, let me say this. I don't think you're putting it on the military, folks. I think you may be putting it on the military to be able to look at what's happened to us in the past. When Caleb talks about a 20-year conflict, war that we were involved in, what have we learned from that? Does the length of the conflict make a difference? I know just recently with the Afghanistan war that they put in pain management. The military didn't have anything about pain management. So they now put in something for pain management. My point is this, is that the military as a whole, even if we look at how we fight wars and the weapons that we have and so forth like that, if you're going to use humans to be able to fight in these wars, you also have to know or decide how you're going to deal with them when they come home. And we haven't done very well dealing with our heroes when they come home, and especially if they're Black.
So I know. I'm gonna give you some more. I'm gonna give you another parallel. And so, and there was a leader, and this leader flew around campaigning on his private airplane, and he had a lot of very rich backers, industrialists, wealthy people who helped him get into power. very, very slick media campaign. And they were able to win the election. And in order to seize power, they conducted a couple of what they call false flag operations in order to justify their seizure of power. And so if you think I'm talking about Donald Trump, I'm not. I'm talking about a guy named Adolf Hitler, who flew around on his private plane, who had a bunch of billionaires backers, who had a very slick media campaign, and who was able to seize power, but conducted a couple of different false flag operations in order to consolidate that power.
What do you mean when you say false flag?
Like campaign, like terrorist activities.
Okay.
And blamed it on
Okay.
someone else.
Okay.
And so in order to scare the public and stir up fear, in order for people to cede their democracy, you know what I mean, in order for people to willingly give that up in exchange for safety and stability.
May I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So do you think that the same could be going on now, that maybe some of these things may have been staged to put the American public to feel that they're distressed, and because of that, I think you might have been the person who mentioned about the martial law.
Me.
Okay.
So
I really think that these incidents is going to justify 47's desire to implement martial law. Now, what's interesting is this did not happen in Chicago, so they can't blame this on Chicago. It happened in Las Vegas and New Orleans, but not Chicago. But I think that they're going to try to use this situation to justify the need for martial law.
So we'll see. There are a lot of parallels, a lot of them, and so we'll see if this becomes one of those parallels where people sit back at history and say, "Aha," you know what I mean? He followed this plan to the letter. You know what I mean? They just dusted this plan off, and so
Well,
we'll see.
let's talk about Hitler real quick. That a lot of their actions was based on Jim Crow laws.
Right.
So it all
Come
comes back
back.
to the United States.
And I would ask you, when you talk about possibly this administration following the Hitler regime, I ask you a couple questions. I personally don't believe that the incoming president is that smart to even know that. Okay.
He has people around him.
That's what I was going to say. Are there people around him?
Stephen Miller,
Okay.
Steve Bannon,
Okay.
Elon Musk,
Okay.
Lauren. Okay, and what's the Nazi he wants to put in as defense chief? So no, he has plenty of folks around him.
Okay.
Who are well aware of this playbook, and so we'll see how far along they continue with this playbook. And remember, there was just like you had Project 2025, Hitler had Mein Kampf.
So what?
Mein Kampf, My
Okay.
Struggle.
Okay.
So he had a playbook as well about everything he was going to do. None of this is new.
Okay.
All of this is just it's 1939 redo.
That's
you
why
know
I
what
like
I mean?
to have you on the back.
And so for those of you who have not read or even looked at Project 2025, you need to take that time. And there's several chapters from the different agencies in the United States. You need to take some time to see what's in that book and how it's going to impact you. I know that on this show, we've talked about it several times. Other YouTube content people have done the same thing. Some folks told me, oh, it's not for real. It's very much for real. It is very, very much for real. And with that being
my closing thoughts, no, I'm just going to give one closing thought. Those who fail to learn and understand history are doomed to repeat it. There you go.
And you want to close anything? You want to end with this?
We have met the enemy, and it is us.
Well, we're going to accept both of their closing thoughts as a closing thought, as a
Mm.
closing statement for Contemporary Black Voices. And we appreciate you. And make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And with that being said, that is we are Contemporary Black Voices, where we're telling our story our way.